Well, good morning, everybody. I couldn't wait to be here today to learn about your industry and help you out. The McDonald's journey started in the late 80s. It's been a turbulent journey for McDonald's. Many ups and downs, so many detractors, and a lot of lessons learned that I think can help your industry. So that's what I'm here for. I call this the battle to do good because don't you feel like it's a battle sometimes? You got so many people out there maybe that attacking your brand, attacking your business. We had all types of criticisms of McDonald's, as David mentioned. But the fact is, I'm just a firm believer. I have 100% conviction that this is a battle that you can win. But it's a battle that you have to think smartly about and uniquely about to change from, if you feel like you're always playing defense all the time, that these things are peripheral, if you don't like all these criticisms you hear, you need to change your mindset into seeing something in a proactive, being strategic, and seeing the opportunity. So that's the journey that I want to share with you today. Now, just a couple words about McDonald's that I think are unique in what I bring to the table here. One is how consumer-centric McDonald's is. McDonald's serves, believe it or not, 1% of the population of the world every day. 70 million people. If there's a company that feels they know the consumer better than anybody, it's McDonald's. You know what? We did research after research, and we found that the global consumer has very high expectations of an organization being responsible. They don't know what you should be doing, but they know you should be doing things that take care of society. The other thing that's very interesting about McDonald's is that even though we're a big company, believe it or not, we're the world's largest small business. There's 5,000 people that own McDonald's around the world. That's 95% of all restaurants are owned by individual owner-operators who argued with me and others at McDonald's headquarters, I don't want to pay an extra $1 for anything in the world. So they're tough people, entrepreneurs. So when we talk about sustainability and doing the right things within McDonald's, we have to convince the owner-operator of that restaurant down the road that this makes sense for their business. So I don't approach this from a pie-in-the-sky area. Sustainability needs to be practical. So I think you invited me today because McDonald's has been through all types of campaigns, books, movies, protests, and I lived through all of them. And boy, at some point in time, you wondered, how did we ever survive as a company? How did our brand survive? But yet, McDonald's today is growing and thriving more than ever. And one of the key reasons that they're thriving is that McDonald's took the issue of social license, social responsibility, corporate sustainability, all this language that describes how you respond to society. We took it very, very seriously. So, what I'm here today is I really want to convince you, all of you, when you go back to work, in your day jobs, I want you to look not as all these issues of that first session that we had that David moderated was so interesting to hear all the issues that you're dealing with. Well, do you look at it as Pandora's box? That if you were to work on them, all you would do is open up a can of worms? I don't want you to look at it that way. I want you to look at it from an opportunity viewpoint. So I'm going to talk through a few stories and experiences and give you some lessons learned. What we did right, we did a lot of things wrong that I wish we had some do-overs. So I'm going to share this with you so you can go back and perhaps make your job easier, that you can make this an opportunity to grow your business, your industry. The first story I want to tell you, and it's the first battle that we had, it was this battle over waste and packaging. Now, who remembers this polystyrene foam container? Anybody remember it, that we used to use it in the 80s? Or are you too young to? There we go, at least one person. You know what? The consumer despised this package. They thought it was very wasteful. And for the first time ever in McDonald's history, this is back in like 1988, McDonald's was created and founded in 1955. So for the first 33 years, everybody loved McDonald's. The beloved Golden Arches. Everybody loved Ronald McDonald. Then all of a sudden, we got people not liking McDonald's. My neighbors and friends, you're part of the garbage crisis. You have too much packaging. You're filling up landfills. We became sort of an evil company. There was a headline in a New York magazine with Ronald McDonald changed to Ronald McToxic. So you can imagine how hurtful that was to our company. We had kids, school kids, writing letters by the thousands saying, why do you use the polystyrene container? They sent the packages to our mailbox office and we were overflowing with packaging. So my boss at the time, I was in charge of truck drivers, believe it or not, back in the mid-'80s. And he said, you know what, we need you to take on this issue of getting us out of the target zone of packaging. So I was assigned to solve this issue, and we made a big announcement. We announced, it was unheard of at the time, that McDonald's was going to partner with a big environmental group called the Environmental Defense Fund. By the way, their motto at the time was "Sue the Bastards." So I was a little bit nervous working with them because I thought they were a bunch of tree huggers and really didn't care about McDonald's business. This picture here shows two people from the Environmental Defense Fund. We brought them into our business, and boy, did my mindset change once they came in. They weren't out to destroy our business. They wanted to make our business better. We agreed on two principles going into this partnership that I think are interesting. One, they wanted open access, that they could talk to anybody, see anything, and do anything in our business to assess how we could reduce waste. And we agreed to that. Now, would your industry agree to that? Would you invite people in and let them see anything and review anything? To me, this openness is critical. Secondly, we also said, you cannot change our business. You know, we're going to be McDonald's. We're a fast food restaurant. We're not going to be able to change to be a sit-down fancy restaurant. And they agreed to that as well. So we worked together. Lo and behold, I became friends with them. I liked them a lot. And they gave us a lot of great ideas that we would never have thought of alone. Yeah, we ended up getting rid of the polystyrene package, but we also reduced like 1 inch of the napkin, saving 10 million pounds a year. We changed to a brown bag versus white, not to get technical, but a brown bag is way better for the environment. And we had 42 ideas to reduce, reuse, and recycle. We implemented them. It was win-win. Over the course of 2 years, we went from being in the outhouse and we went to the White House. We won an environmental award. We reduced 300 million pounds of packaging during the decade of the 90s. And you know what? Best of all, we did it without spending one extra dime. We did all this very smartly and practically. So that just proves that you can have a win-win situation. And probably best of all, and to me this is really important, you know, companies don't have any credibility. Like, it's hard for your industry to say, well, whatever this practice is, it's okay. Because, you know, they're not going to believe you. They're not going to believe Bob Langert saying that we're reducing waste, but they will believe the head of the Environmental Defense Fund when he says publicly things like he's saying here. To me, this is worth millions of dollars, yet we're not paying millions of dollars of third-party endorsement. It's so essential for credibility. So I came upon this formula, a template that would really be part of our future work on all the issues. This is a template that we had so many different partnerships that, one, you have to be open. If you're not ready to be open, don't go into a partnership. You need that for credibility. Collaboration. You may think what's best for your industry is best, but you know what? Nobody's going to believe you. You can't do it alone. You have to work with some sort of third party. And thirdly, you need to take action. This is not PR. Somebody here asked me, oh, you were part of the public relations department for McDonald's? I go, no, this is not PR. This is like, We're changing programs and policy. You have to have proof points to show to the consumer that you're making a difference. And that all adds up to success in terms of society engagement. The next battle I want to talk about is the battle over animal rights and animal welfare. I think this is near and dear and closer to home for your industry. I found this issue probably the most fascinating one that I dealt with. During the decade of the 90s, we're under a lot of pressure. Why not? From PETA and other animal rights organizations, because, hey, we're the biggest buyer of meat in the world. For everything that we buy, beef, pork, chicken, eggs, McDonald's buys 2% of all the beef in the world, 2% of all the eggs. That's a big number. So with that comes responsibility to do something about it. Back in the 90s, we thought this is all beyond our control. We don't raise animals. Animals are done by the farms and the ranchers. They're 3 or 4 steps removed from McDonald's. What can we do about it? So my boss gave me this assignment. It's another assignment, by the way, that I had no knowledge of animals. So he said, hey, you got to come up with a program that gets us out of the target zone from the likes of PETA. And PETA, as you know, they deal on the consumer's emotions. How do we tackle this? So the first thing I did is I toured our meat suppliers. These are some images of some of the practices within animal agriculture for food. And I would visit pork suppliers, and if you know the mother pig is a sow, and their whole life, they live in these steel crates, and all they can do is go up and down. Some of the pigs had tethers around their neck attached to the wall. And our suppliers said, hey, there's nothing wrong with this. This is okay. The science says that the animals are healthy. You can see laying hens, 12 laying hens to a cage the size of a piece of paper. And again, the animal scientists said, that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. They're healthy. But the reality was, I was uncomfortable with this because it's not just science that dictates things on animal welfare. It's also ethics. And so whatever word you want to talk about, where do you draw the line? Yeah, we buy 2% of the meat and we're killing animals to serve the food, but where do you draw the line on the proper treatment of animals? I found this task to be extraordinarily daunting because who's McDonald's to tell the animal industry what to do? But we took it on because we thought it was very important for our brand, for our future, that our role as the consumer doesn't differentiate between McDonald's and our suppliers. They view us as being responsible for everything that we bring to the table, which includes our supply chain. So how are we going to go about doing it? So I wanted to create the same template, the one that I just described on waste. Who can we work with? Who can we collaborate with? And we found a very special person. We created an animal welfare council. We had 6 global experts come to our company on a regular basis to advise us scientifically on the best thing to do. Dr. Temple Grandin, how many people have heard of Dr. Temple Grandin here? Not a whole lot. Look her up, Google her. Very special. At the time, she wasn't as famous as she is today, but she became renowned as the #1 most credible authority on animal behavior. She's autistic. It gave her a very special dimension because she literally did not have the ability to deceive. She's just a straightforward. And she liked the beef industry, but she's very critical of the practices in the beef industry. So we collaborated with her, and believe it or not, she had this idea that you could actually measure animal welfare at the slaughterhouses. You can measure the moves, the slips, the use of electric prods. By the way, my first trip with her out there, I saw how this is in the late 90s, all the cattle handlers were using electric prods to move the animals. So basically almost every animal was zap, 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 zap. And Dr. Temple Grandin was just going, she was going nuts. saying we don't have to use electric prods. We could design the systems so animals move naturally. We could use flags, not electric prods. She had all these ideas to implement within McDonald's with our suppliers. So we put her out there and said, you know what, you're going to audit all the suppliers from McDonald's worldwide. So we implemented her system. It took 3, 4, 5 years to do it all. Boy, did it make a big impact. We measured, we saw the results. We actually fired about 3 or 4 different suppliers, so it had teeth, it meant business, and it really changed the animal welfare, I would say, was not part of the supplier community mentality, but it became standard operating procedure. All of a sudden, animal welfare is on the map. And by the way, it went globally eventually. Eventually, all of our competition and the whole industry, the whole floor has been raised. So I'm very proud. Somebody asked me this morning, what are you most proud of at McDonald's? I'd say, well, probably this program, because we really transformed the whole industry. And again, you know, she was just a special person that brought in this expertise to McDonald's. And again, it wasn't McDonald's defending what we did. You know, for Bob Langert or McDonald's to say, hey, we care about animal welfare, I don't think they're going to believe that. But if Dr. Temple Grandin is out there, as she was, if we got calls from the media about stuff that PETA or others are attacking us on, we said, well, go talk to Dr. Temple Grandin. She's the one that, she's seen everything. And we just trusted her to tell the truth. And the truth was we cared and we made a difference. And so again, the best way to put PETA and animal rights people off the map is by doing something that makes sense to most people in the world. So that's what Dr. Temple Grandin did for McDonald's. She put PETA where they belonged, which is on the fringes. So again, this model here, I repeat the slide because it's a slide I want you to remember the most, that you know, you need to be open. Can you imagine hiring Dr. Temple Grandin and say, well, we don't want you to go see this or that. You can't do that. You know, we collaborated, we gave her the keys. We told her you can go anywhere you want. And I told you how we took action. Well, the third battle that I want to talk about, this is interesting for this audience as well, because there's this whole issue of McDonald's contributing to obesity, junk food. And this is the very core, just like horses are the very core of your business, our food is the core of what we do. So here we are, you know, getting attacked left and right, starting in about 2000 or so, because the obesity rates were increasing, especially with kids, you know, childhood obesity. And families and kids are such an important part of our business. So we decided at McDonald's to do the same template again. We formed a Healthy Lifestyles Council. We brought in the best experts around the world to advise us on nutrition and well-being. And to be honest with you, we struggled for 10 years. We tried to introduce so much healthy food in McDonald's, and none of it sold. I guess it's not surprising. We learned that people go for the hamburgers and the shakes and the fries. They don't want to have a veggie burger. That's just the reality of it. But what the Council of Experts told us is you can make a difference with kids. And kids are at the core of what we do. So in 2011, we made a big announcement. It's one of my favorite things that we did, is we changed our Happy Meal. This was a big, bold movement. You know, Happy Meal sales were slipping. Mothers weren't coming to McDonald's for various reasons. A lot of it has to do with all these issues of sustainability. But we changed the Happy Meal to reduce the fry size to 100 calories. We no longer had soda as the default. They would get a milk or a water or a juice. And they all would get a slice, a side of apples or fruit or yogurt. This was unbelievably successful. It turned the Happy Meal business around, and we're selling more Happy Meals than ever because of that. Again, it's a win-win situation. And here we have the leader of the group that we worked with. This was another organization that was very independent, called the Alliance for a Healthier Generation. You know, I couldn't dream of a better statement from a third party describing our efforts. This is worth millions of dollars of brand advertising. And this is what I feel is very important for industries like yourself. Again, using that template. Okay, I've described the first 24 years of my career at McDonald's. And you're probably thinking, hey, you did a pretty good job. You dealt with waste good, you did a good animal welfare program, even with obesity, the Happy Meal program was good. But here's my scorecard. We had an A for crisis management. Those were all crises that we had. We were under fire. And as a company, maybe you are too, we're pretty good at dealing with a crisis. We throw the army at it. We get the money that we need because we got to solve it. But that's not the best way to do it. And the fact is, we did it non-strategically, meaning that there's no strategy attached to this. There's no connection to what we're doing. We weren't getting credit for what we're doing. It wasn't part of a larger picture. The consumer didn't know what we're doing. Our brand health, the brand of McDonald's, the trust and reputation we have, is the most important thing about our business. Our brand health was suffering tremendously. We divide our brand into two parts. There's 40 attributes to our brand, believe it or not. 20 of them have to do with long-term sustainability, care for people, animals, ethics, care for the environment, all those types of issues. The short-term issues are short-term: cost, convenience, good food, taste. We were great at short-term. We were lousy at long-term because we weren't investing in it. There's one number I want to share with you that's just astounding, that was consistent year after year. Our brand health said that 29% of our 71% of our consumers felt guilty about the food they're eating at McDonald's. Now, can you imagine surviving with 71% of your consumers not feeling good about the food they're eating? And almost all the reasons were related to these sustainability issues. I give us an F on communication. Our communication was defensive. You're wrong, we're right. Give them facts. Why are you attacking us? It just was a very poor communication style. Worst of all is I like to show this slide. I use this slide at McDonald's almost every day, every week, because I was trying to convince our management team, you cannot wait. You cannot wait. You know what the issues are, and this curve shows that the longer you wait, the more likelihood that it's become a political issue, a legal issue, a media issue. It's going to be a crisis that I described earlier. You might throw money at it, and you're going to spend more money coming up with a solution that doesn't make sense. So I was really preaching within McDonald's, and I preach to you, that work on issues on the early stages. That's when you can spend the time and have the right science, work with the right partners to do the right thing without pressure over your shoulders. But most companies and organizations, believe it or not, they still wait. They wait. They wait. It's my pet peeve. So finally, in 2014, our CEO at that time said, I'm sick and tired of playing defense on all these societal issues. Bob Langert, I want you to get a team together and put a strategy in place that puts us on the front foot. This was what we presented to our board of directors eventually. And I think I want to just have you look at it for a second, because I have a feeling maybe this is relevant for you here. We felt like we were doing the right thing, but it wasn't really central to growing our business. We considered it peripheral. So it really should be central. Our efforts were disjointed. We didn't, but we sought, so we needed to get alignment in order to get a credit. We had a lot of activities going around the world, but we had no focus. And then we couldn't really reach the consumer with our message. So this idea that we need to have a strategy ultimately to share our story and get credit. And by the way, we can talk about this later. I use that word share our story so deliberately, because everybody at McDonald's used to say, we need to tell our story more. I go, no, you can't tell. Tell is the wrong mindset. You don't tell from on high, telling others what to do. We need to share. This is an experience that we need to go through. But really, this is the last battle I want to describe. It was not easy getting the strategy approved at McDonald's. We had a battle for internal acceptance. Because my CEO said, hey, develop a bold strategy, so we did. We came up with ambitions and vision and 9 goals, and one of the goals was that all of our food and packaging should come from sustainable sources, like coffee and fish, et cetera. We believed in this business value, that you can do both good for society and good for business, that we're gonna actually make a positive difference and grow our business. So when I presented this to the top 15 people in the company, they rejected it. They said, well, this is too bold. This is too risky. Our chief lawyer said, this is too much risk that we're taking on. They booted me out, and they asked me to dumb down the strategy. I came back to my team, and we talked, and we said, you know what, it's the wrong thing for McDonald's to dumb it down. Our company on this curve, which I ended up showing to the top management team 2 weeks later, I asked the management team, if you're asking us to have no risk, we're gonna be a laggard, and we're gonna be perceived as not doing anything. We have to have some element of risk to have credibility in this space. So what do you want us to do? You want us to be a laggard, or you want us to be a leader? So they ended up approving the plan after the initial resistance. So it was the happiest day of my professional career, no doubt. The Economist here gave us a very glowing review. I think the halo over Ronald McDonald's is a little bit of a stretch and exaggeration, because I don't mean to say that McDonald's is a perfect company. It's filled with imperfections. By the way, it always will be for any organization. But at least McDonald's, as it faces issues today, it has a framework to work within. So this is the last piece of the puzzle. And so this is a template. Be open, collaborate, have action, have strategy. Those 4 things I feel are needed if you're gonna get along with society. So let me just review them real quickly. To be open, look at this list. Tell me how many companies do all these things. Not many. Most companies are afraid to be open. And by the way, if you don't want to be open, what do you think that means to the consumer? That means you're hiding something. So, I don't know, I challenge you. How can you be more open? You gotta be a little bit uncomfortable, but you gotta be open. You need to collaborate with partners that make sense. I like this slide because multinational companies like McDonald's had negative credibility, like we're in a negative territory. People are gonna believe scientists and NGOs. So you have to work with the enemy, I guess you would say. But the enemy is not really the enemy. Most of them are wanting to make you successful. And lastly, actions. This is not a PR exercise. You need to have proof points. So the business case is so important for sustainability. I'm sure you have a good business case in your business as well. The reality is, get going. Don't wait. Don't let perfection paralyze you. You don't need to achieve perfection. Make it practical for your organization. Just get started. And by the way, have thick skin, because you're always going to be criticized. But now you have a platform for what you stand up for, and you have partners that are going to verify that. It's brand health. Don't have time to talk about this. We can talk about it in the Q&A. But can you believe that brand health, if we can improve that, look at our sales increase. So it's been quite an evolution. When I started working on these issues back in the late 80s, there's nothing related to, there was no language of corporate social responsibility, nothing. Today, standards, programs, staffs, McDonald's has got 34 people working on sustainability. Companies have chief sustainability officers. It's not going to go away. So for you out there, I really recommend that for the believers in this, hey, do more. For the skeptics, if you want to be skeptical, help your company do it the right way. Challenge them. I think most of the people here might be sitting on the fence. Hey, raise your hand, get involved, make solutions. So I'm very happy to share these lessons learned. I hope it helps you to inspire you to get out there and make this happen and not be fearful of dealing with these society issues, but rather see them as opportunities, true opportunities that you can grow your business, become more popular. Your industry has a great story, great animals, great passion. I don't see why you can't win this battle. Thank you.